Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable right here at our Facebook main business fan page. And today's show is all about the weekly card draw for the community, right? For the whole group. And that card happens to spark a spiritual conversation that has been, our experience here has been pretty deep and pretty meaningful. So thank you for joining me today. Today is Wednesday, January 29th. And here in Toma, Wisconsin, it is, I don't know, about 23 degrees or so. And the sun's out, but it's kind of cloudy. Not bad, though. For the end of January, not bad at all. So today's show is all about the card draw for today. And I did that card draw this morning. So I had some time to kind of sit with it and let it percolate, right? And I think I'm just double checking to make sure the live stream is going, and it looks like it is. So we're going to start the conversation in just a second. What I'm going to do is I promised a couple of people that I would send them the link over so that they can join us. And so I'm going to do that since I said I would. And let's see. And let's see, I know that Angie wanted it sent over to her. There we go. And Rochelle has been having problems with her new tablet. And so we want to make sure that she can join us if she wants to. There we go. All right. I think I got it. There we go. You know, when we're using divination cards of any kind, right, it's always good to be grounded when we're going to be doing the card draw. And grounded, centered, and protected, I always say. And so that's how I started out this morning, almost every morning. I happen to have my Merkaba is been activated and permanent for a really, really long time. And so always prepared, right? Always prepared. And so when the cards came this morning, I was thinking, this is going to be such a good show and to share. For those of you, and thank you, by the way, for joining me and being in the live chat. Thank you so much. And those that are going to be watching the show by the recorded version, thank you so much for making time in your day to be with us, even with the recorded show. This is the deck that we're currently using. It's called Sacred Spirit Reading Cards by Anna Stark. And Anna happens to be from the UK, as well as her illustrator. And so the information that's coming through the cards, because they're both from the UK, kind of have a flavoring of that. Okay. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that comes along and how Spirit uses their perspective of the UK as the information comes through. So, hey guys, hello. Hi, Patricia, Patty, good to have you here too. Good to have you here. And Christina's here too. Hello, Christina. Good to have you here. Linda's here as well. Hello, Linda. Always good to see you in the house. Yeah, and Patricia, thank you for joining us. I know you're new to the show. And the card that I draw, cards, I should say plural, is actually for a group reading for the week. Okay, so we don't do individual card readings on this particular show. If you really enjoy that, because almost all of us do, right? One of our show hosts, live stream show hosts at Star Nations live stream shows, is Polly Jo LeBay. And Polly Jo's weekly show, Soul Connections, is tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And in the second half of her show, she does do mini card readings. And so if you'd like to have an individual card drawn for you and a reading done for you, join us this evening. Okay, because she will go until everybody who wants a card receives a card. So yeah, so if you would like to do that, I'm not going to do an individual card, but listen to the group card, because whatever resonates with you, feels good to you, that piece is definitely for you. Okay, all right. um, all right. You're welcome, Patty. I don't know, Patricia, Patty. Let us know which one you prefer to go by. Hey, and Kimberly's here too. Hello, Kimberly. It's good to have you here. You're welcome, Patty. And Linda says she's awesome. Yes, she is. You're talking about Polly Joe. Yes, she is. Um, she has been with Star Nations now. I want to say 4 years, 4 years, and has been doing the Soul Connection show for 2 of those 4 years. And so, yes, very good. The front half of that show for Polly Joe is meant for healing. And so she and her team, her spiritual team, create that sacred container for us, right? And we come in with our own intention for whatever it is that we want to heal, or a block that we want to have removed, with our personal spiritual team. And so it really is a very powerful evening to do that together in a group. The energy of the group is usually very strong and very high frequency. And yeah. So if you want to join us for that, really, the front half healing, the second half of her show is all about the card draw. Speaking of card draws, I'm going to turn off the caller because sometimes that kind of gets in the way, right? And we're going to start with the first card that was drawn. We have 2 cards today. 2 cards. And the very first card, I think you guys are going to like. All right. Here's the first card. The Ascended Masters. Create open communication with others. Create open communication with others. The Ascended Masters. It's the second card in the deck. And you know, the number 2 numerology is about co-creation, right? Creating together. I love, love, love the pink in this card. Now, this is a brand new deck, right? And I've been using it since just before Christmas, and getting used to the cards and that sort of thing. You know, and the Ascended Masters, they've been very, very vocal, letting themselves be known in the last few weeks. Ascended Masters create open communication with others. Yeah. I'm going to bring it just a little bit closer so you guys can see it, feel it, and see it in the background. In the background, down in the lower corner there by his hand, is an image of another person. Do you see that? Almost like they're stepping through or peering through, right? That's the Ascended Master. Going through the third eye, one of our clairs. Right? A lot of energy flowing through this card. Don't you feel it? Yep. Ascended Masters. Create open communication with others. And the other part of that is to listen objectively. Yeesh. To listen, to use our listening skills, right? That attentive listening. Yeah. You know, the author of this deck, she's very interesting because her story starts with spirit at a relatively young age. I think it was like 15, and she had a physical illness that led her to a deeper connection to spirit. And then once she was able to heal from that, she decided how she was going to use her gifts. And one of the things that she wanted to do is to help other people. right? And so with this deck, when we have something like Ascended Masters coming through, talking about communication, or talking about it at a much broader, larger energy field, right? The frequency you can feel, that the message coming through from the Ascended Masters is, is to call on them, right? To call on them when we're working on aspects of our physical life for information, right? Because they can help us. They can help us in so many different areas. And each one of us has more than just one Ascended Master on our spiritual team. And so, for instance, my communication with those Ascended Masters on my spiritual team, transparency here, I wish I was in a better habit of sitting down and having daily conversations with them, right? I get busy. Running, taking care of Star Nations is more than a full-time job. And I'm also taking care of my mom, right? And so the Ascended Masters, what they do when they tap me on the shoulder and they want to have a conversation about something, right, is that I see the triple numbers of 333. And that just started, I want to say, about a year ago. Because for me, the triple numbers of 333 is all about decision making, right? And the 3 is about the Ascended Masters. And so to have that that conversation with them about decisions that I have to be making, and actually tapping into their expertise, right, and helping me to make those decisions that need to be made. Yeah. Does anybody else connect with their Ascended Masters on their spiritual team? It's a good question, I think. Yeah, you're so right. Lots of energy, Linda. And Patricia's saying, beautiful card. Yes, isn't it? It's something about that pink color in there. And that pink, that shade of pink, represents our high heart. The heart chakra that's between our throat chakra and our lower heart chakra. And that's the balance between our head and our heart, right? And so that pink. Yeah. Hi, Jocelyn. It's good to have you here. She says, yes, lots of energy and speaks volumes. Do you believe it's also a portal to new birth? It could very well be. I think it really depends on what you're working with your Ascended Masters, right? And what your soul contract is all about, and where you're at in that soul growth, right? So it could very well be a portal to new birth, depending on what you're working on, right? Yeah. Kimberly is saying, yes, I had Jesus coming through on several occasions. Yeah. Yeah, those Ascended Masters, they actually had a physical life, right? And they mastered the physical world, and were able to raise their frequency and their vibration up so that they could ascend with their body, right? I know. Isn't that what we're all kind of striving for? That ascension, right? This is Kimberly, I think. Phone dies, about to die. We'll catch the replay. Okay. Thank you so much. That's Stephanie. She's our social media manager here at Star Nations. All right. Let's see what the author has to say, okay, about this. It says, throughout time, human beings have looked to spiritual teachers, gurus, and philosophers for guidance and wisdom in their everyday lives. Regardless of religious background or affiliation, people gravitate towards those who have achieved levels of ascension on the physical plane. Right? And here's the thing that I truly believe in my heart of hearts. I truly believe that each one of us have within us the energies of those ascended masters. In other words, we have the capability of doing the same thing, right? And in many ways, depending on how much of our personal work that we've done, our personal healing, our personal growth, stepping past the fear, being brave and doing that, right? That when we have done aspects of that and really working on our soul contract, that others are drawn to us and they want to hear our story. And we want to be able to assist them in the best way that we can for their highest good, right? And so when I read this part this morning, I was thinking it is still kind of true. We still gravitate toward others who have experience, right? And what are we looking for? What are we searching for? What are we seeking when we contact them, right? And I think that's why we look for spiritual mentors or mentors of any kind, right? And those mentors can be in spirit on our spiritual team, or they can be in the physical form, right? Our spiritual teachers. Not some. I think we're way past the guru thing, right? Don't you think? I do believe that. I do believe that. But we also have the opportunity to be able to sit down with somebody who has some experience. And a lot of times, I think what we're looking for is that validation that what we're going through or what we're experiencing is really happening, right? And it's not necessarily that we're looking for them to make our decisions for us or to live that life for us, right? It really is about I'm trying to get this the page up. What we're really looking for, I think, at least I have in the past, right, is looking for the validation that what I'm experiencing really is happening, and maybe even learn how to apply it better or in a deeper way from somebody who's actually done the work, right? So I'm not really taking on their life, but I'm learning from them, right? And I think that we've all kind of done that at one time or another, right? Because we're all here seeking, we're all searchers of that information, bringing us closer and closer to our original vibration, right? All right. Patricia's saying Saint Germain and the Violet Flame is one I love. Oh, I know. And especially when the first time you actually see the violet flame and you feel what it's like to be immersed in it, there's nothing like it, right? There's nothing like it. All right, so here we go. She goes on to say that when we're working with the frequency of the energies, be sure to always invoke or request the aspects that exist within 100% pure light frequency. Ascended masters still exist with a dual polarity and still have specific purposes and functions relating to the earthly realm. So that's her belief system, right? And I have to add that whenever we're getting prepared to do very conscious work, right, is that we really do want to be grounded. We want to be grounded, we want to be centered, and we want to be protected, right? So if you're doing that already, and when you're asking for assistance from your spiritual team, it is kind of a good habit to get into, depending on what you're working on, right, is to call on the highest aspect or the highest frequency of that, what you're working with. Because we all have ancestors on our spiritual team too, right? And sometimes those ancestors may not be as at a at the highest frequency that you could possibly work with. They're still there to help you, and they're still there to be able to call upon. But depending on what you're working on, you might want to have the highest frequency angel or ancestor or teacher or ascended master, depending on what you're working on, right? To be able to know that you're accessing the highest frequency possible, right? And so I think that it is a good habit to get into, is to make that request. She goes on to say that right now you're required to connect to higher wisdom previously shared with a collective purpose. Daily rituals and routine are essential to establish stability through decision-making processes. Open your mind and vision to signs and symbols from the ascended master's realm. Many masters are associated with animals and symbols. Pay attention to art and imagery that you may feel emotionally or strongly connected to now as you are being guided divinely. So it's to that synchronicity, right? All those signs and symbols that are shown to us all day long, right? For instance, last night in my evening show, my weekly evening show, Communications from Home, we were talking about the lunar New Year and the measurement of time using the moon. It's a very divine, sacred, feminine way of relating, right? And one of the pictures I used to call on the energy of the sacred feminine was a picture that one of our contributing writers used in her article. Oh gosh, probably about 4 years ago, and that picture still had a very deep resonance with me, and as it symbolized, represented the sacred feminine. And so, to me, to still have that kind of reaction to that particular image, to me was a sign that I was on the right track in using that picture and actually relating to the lunar New Year and how we can tap into that energy in a conscious way to really deepen our connection with the sacred feminine, right? And to use it as a balance. Yeah. Hey, Deborah's here. Hey, Deborah. Good to have you here, lady. And so, those signs and synchronicities, those symbols, and I'm sure you probably, many of us recognize those symbols, right? And we say, oh, yeah, that's from, for instance, Patricia might say, oh, yeah, that's my symbol, or that's the way Saint Germain lets me know that he's present. Right? That we all have some sort of connection that's specific and very unique to our relationship to the Ascended Masters or to anyone on our spiritual team, right? All right, so here we go. The author goes on to say, be consciously aware that the Masters are working behind the scenes in your life to achieve a greater outcome. Okay? Karmic planning and your unique energetic blueprint requires certain learning experiences and events for you to grow and expand your soul and spirit into a new state of awareness. When I read that, that felt good. It really did. And it also brings in that divine timing piece, right? Is that our spiritual team, the Ascended Masters included, whenever we want to co-create, when we're manifesting, right, consciously working on bringing something onto the earth plane, is that we can't control, and nor do we control all aspects of that, right? Is that at some point we have to let it go, and that manifestation comes into our life in the divine timing when it's in the highest good for us, right? Individually. And I know because we're two-legged, we're human, right? And we want it now, and we want it as quickly as we possibly can, especially in this century, generations in this century. We're used to having drive-through speediness, right? And sometimes that just doesn't happen that way, because we have to wait for things to line up, right? When it's being created for us, that sometimes we have to wait for things to line up, because it may, not just may, we're all interconnected, right? And so whatever we're bringing in is going to affect someone else or somebody else, whether it's two-legged, four-legged, any part of nature, right? And so that divine timing is crucial in allowing it to unfold for our highest good, right? And so the ascended masters are working with us all the time, even though we may not be consciously aware of it. They're right there with us. And so why not? Why not grab a cup of tea, right? And sit down and do a meditation, or to have a conversation with them. Personally, I do automatic writing to connect with them. That's what was requested of me to do, was automatic writing. And so I have a 3-ring binder with loose leaf paper, and some really good pens that are fun to write with. And so, I get quiet. I bring love to my heart, and we have a conversation. I start writing, and they start telling me stuff they want me to know about. And so now I have to do my part of it, right? I have to get into the habit of sitting down and having the conversation with them. That's me. That's that two-legged thing, is to make the time for that. Right? All right. So, how many people? That's a good question. If you don't mind me asking, is how many people in the live chat right now? How many of you carve out the time, make the time in your very busy day or week to spend some time with the ascended masters on your spiritual team? Right? It's like any other relationship, I think, that we want to nurture. Right? Now, they're always going to be with us. It's not like because we're not talking to them that they're just going to leave, right? It's not their spirit. They're not. That's not. They don't take it personally. They don't do the two-legged thing, right? And so I'm just curious. I'm curious if others are having a conversation with their ascended masters on their spiritual team, making time for them. Because part of the message of this card was create open communication with others, listen objectively, right? To listen objectively. So as we look at this card, right, and bring it close enough for my camera to focus on. Come on, camera, you can do it. There is, in the background, by his hand, you can see a person standing there, right? And for me, I took it as the ascended master coming through. That we're focusing our energy on that communication. Or if you will, you could flip it around. And that person in the background is the human making connection with the ascended master. as Jocelyn said, it could be a portal, right? It could be a portal. Linda's saying she tries. I know, right? It's taking the time, making the time for it. Deborah says, I do not do it. The thought is now planted. Well, that's good. That's good. You know, and sometimes I think because we are human, we make it more complicated than it needs to be, right? Yeah, and so when we make it complicated, then we can find other excuses why we don't get it done, right? Okay. Thank you for joining us, Linda. I know what that feels like when mom needs you. I know. I've got one upstairs. So thanks for joining us, Linda. Appreciate it. Christina's saying, I try to listen daily, but some days are easier than others. I do pull a card or a rune daily and ask my team what message they have for me. It's always connected to a question I've had in my heart. Well, that is good though, Christina. So many people don't do that, right? I've been doing pulling cards for a few decades now. It was very helpful when I was first awakening, right? And to help myself prepare for the day, what's coming, what's going to be present today, right? And it helped me to really understand my intuition, um, to get the validation that that it was spot on, right? So it was very helpful in that way, and trusting my own intuition. Yeah. Jocelyn said, I try too. That's good. And Carol said, try do it when I can. Yeah. Yeah. It's good though that we all have recognized that we have a connection, right? It's just making time for it. Making time for it. You ready for the second card? Here we go. Here's the second card. Divine will. Let go of fear. Look at that direct information flowing from the creator down to the two-legged, down to the human. The divine will. Letting go of fear. Right? You know, one of the gifts that we received from the creator, right? One of our divine gifts that we all have, that we all share this, and that is our free will, right? And I think some people, it depends on what you believe, what your belief system is, um, and how you perceive free will, right? And how you perceive or how you define your soul contract and what you're here to do, right? And where does divine will come into play in all of that? Um, I really do believe that it depends on your belief system. In my belief system, I do believe that there is divine will, and I do believe that it's a part of our soul contract, what we agreed to do while we're here. But the journey, and how to get from point B to point A, or to finish our soul contract, right? Our destination. I think the destination is divine will. And I think that our journey and how we choose the paths that we choose to get to that point is part of our free will. We get to choose which path we take. Because, there's an old saying, right? And I'm sure you guys have heard this one. There's many paths up the mountain, right? And it's our choice in which path we're going to take. It's our choice in which doorway we're going to take. It all depends on what kind of experience we want to take, right? There's some people who like to take the scenic route, right? The highways and byways, right? And see the countryside. And it may take them a little bit longer to get to the destination, but they're going to get there. And they'll have all kinds of stories to tell because they took the long way there, right? And then there's others who prefer to take the interstate. And if you live in a big city or work in a big city, you know about commuter lanes, right? That you have to travel with certain people and certain number of people to be able to use the commuter lane, which means it's even faster. um, yeah. And so, and neither one is correct or wrong. It just depends on what kind of experience you want to have, right? You're still going to get the soul growth, no matter which which path you decide to take. You're still going to have soul growth, and you're still going to be having um, the soul contract evolving, moving forward, right? So it's more about the journey than the destination. Um, and we always say, for the highest good, right? What do you think the highest good is? It's that divine will. Because we can't control everything. We don't know what's around every corner, right? And so when we say, this is what I normally say, for the highest good and the highest good of all, right? And for it to unfold as gracefully as possible. So I can relax around it, right? And that, and let go of the control, because we think we have control. But there's some aspects that we have no control over whatsoever. Even though our mental mind might say we do, our soul in reality is going, no, we got to let that one go because we have no control over that one, right? Yeah. Yeah. I know. Isn't it though, Jocelyn? I have to agree with you. It's very intense. There's a lot of energy off this card. Differently than the Ascended Masters. It's about divine will and letting go of fear. Yeah. All that golden color. Yeah. Hmm. All right. So here's what the author has to say about this particular card. Okay. So whatever resonates with you, it says accepting that there is a divine plan for every human being, divine will is the process of our human experience to this unique blueprint. Every culture and religion has a narrative of their creator or personal God and their relationship with the human soul or spirit. That an overall plan exists for the outcome of humanity, and each individual is a concept of this belief. In essence, surrendering to the divine will allows you to remove self-blocking patterns and tendencies that lead away from your true divine purpose here on earth. So there's that word, surrendering, right? Surrendering. Surrendering to the divine will allows you to remove self-blocking patterns and tendencies that lead away from your true divine purpose here on earth. I have to say that when you experience that surrender, right? And it's not a weakness. It's not a weakness. Some people would equate that to weakness, but when we're talking about spiritual concepts, it's not. Not in my perspective, anyway. And I'm sure that many of us have experienced this. especially when you're going through what's better known as the dark night of the soul. And you feel that you have tried everything to try to make it through, right? Healing, going to see healers, praying, changing your life, right? And mentally, you feel like you have done everything you can possibly do, and it's not making anything better. In fact, sometimes it even feels worse, right? And you even get to the point of blaming your spiritual team, right? Um, having a rather terse talk with the creator, right? And at some point, you're just tired and you're fatigued, and you throw up your hands and you say, "All right, I give up. I give up. What do I have to do to make it through this? Because obviously, what I'm doing isn't working." Right? Yeah, been there at least twice. And I have to say that the last time was in 2017, and when I came to the realization that it was in my resistance to changing that made it so much worse for me, right? And that's hindsight. Hindsight's 2020. But I think that we've all experienced it to some degree, right? And that in that surrender, literally surrendering to the divine will, not our own will, but the divine will. And sometimes because we want it to happen now and in the time frame that we want it to happen in, it doesn't quite fit for the highest good, right? And in that surrender, we kind of relax about it because we realize that there's some things that I don't have any control over that. I have no way of making it perfect, right? Perfect for me, perfect in my definition. And so we have to let go of that perfection. Yeah, I don't know if that's the correct definition, but that's the feeling I had when I was going through it. Yep. All right, here's Jocelyn. What she's saying. Almost looks as if the release is pure energy that looks like flames, doesn't it? Though, yeah, it does. You know, and really, we could equate that the flames actually to the soul, right? Our highest aspect of ourselves. When we release or let go of what we think we can control, our mental mind, our two-leggedness, that pure energy of our soul is actually what is coming to the surface, right? Good one, Jocelyn. Thank you for adding that. She's also saying, many times been there, that's when I give it to God, right? Kind of throw up your hands, right? And you say, okay, I give up. I tried to do this and I made it worse, and so I give up. And it's in that giving, right? It's in that giving, that divine surrender, that divine surrender. Hey, Barbara's here. Hello, Barbara. Good to have you here. All right. So here's what else the author has to say. Currently, you're being asked to stop. Stop trying to force a door open. Your resistance will continue to make distance between you and your desired outcome. The overall picture is much bigger than you can see right now. Trust in your unique path, that you are exactly where you need to be, right here, right now. When you stop and surrender, you can live freely, having a new sense of freedom and letting go of the events or circumstances that you simply can't control. Everything will always be received in divine timing. Sometimes, when we work so hard at achieving a goal or outcome, it can be marred by setback after setback. This does not mean you will not receive success, more that you need to adjust to be open to a new approach to receive the outcome or resolution you desire. You may not need to acknowledge, however, that the door isn't ready yet, or it is physically not meant to be opened by you. And so the card says, divine will, trust the path, let go of fear. It's number 12, the 12th card in the deck. So that's a 3 in numerology, right? That's a 3, ascended master. Or it could also mean mother, maiden, crone, right? 3 is a very, it is a creation number. So trust the path, let go of fear. The affirmation for this card is I let go of control and surrender to divine synchronicity. Yeah, and so our need to control, our need to make sure, quote unquote, right, that aspects are covered, that, everything is being taken care of, kind of thing. That control issue, right? Underneath it may be the fear that if we don't try to control it, that something bad is going to happen, right? And so what we need to do is address the fear. Heal whatever it is, or let go of whatever it is, right? So that the energy, divine energy, can flow, right? I know it makes it sound so easy. When we're actually doing it, though, it can be a very big challenge, right? And I forgot to read you the affirmation of the Ascended Master card, right? This is the first card. The affirmation that goes with this card is, I am a clear channel of divine knowledge. I share this wisdom with compassion and confidence. So the message coming through those two cards to us today, really, it's about our communication, tapping into the knowledge base, the wisdom base coming through the Ascended Masters. And whatever decision that we have to make, be it small or be it large, doesn't matter, that when we have that kind of connection and we're asking for the highest good in the divine timing of it all, right, is that we can let go. We can let go of trying to control everything and have faith, right? Believe in our connection to spirit. That how it's going to unfold is going to be not just for our highest good, but the highest good for everyone involved, right? And that picture is so much bigger than we can even imagine, of all the beings involved in just one decision. Kimberly's saying, wow, what a conversation about having to surrender a situation to God today. Aw, you're so welcome, Kimberly. Yeah, it's good. Spirit's reaching out to you, right? Deborah says, since I'm mostly retired, I thought everything I was waiting for spiritually, intuitively would be right there. I'm learning to let go and wait. Yeah. in its own perfection, right? Divine timing. Divine timing. Everything's got to get lined up. All right. So, one of the things that we learned in doing this show since May of 2018, I think it was, is that when we look at the cards all together, right, is in order to take in the optimal message for us is for us to be grounded, centered, and protected, right? So if you haven't done your grounding, just pause for a moment and do your grounding, feeling the connection to Grandmother Earth, right? And intend for yourself to be grounded. You can feel the Creator's energy flowing down through the top of your head, down into Grandmother Earth, all through your chakras, balancing you, protecting you, right? And I'm going to suggest that you take a deep breath just to bring in the oxygen, right? Calming. And when you're exhaling, that is to call to your spiritual team because they're always with us. We're just turning our attention to them and asking them to come close because they're always with us, and asking them to assist you in bringing in the optimal message for you coming through these cards from Spirit. Right? Okay. Because here we go. We're going to look at them together. Here's the two cards together. Okay. The Ascended Masters create open communication with others, and to listen attentively. And divine will to let go of fear. That when we get the guidance that we've asked for, that when we make time to have that conversation with our spiritual team, with the Ascended Masters on our spiritual team, to tap into their wisdom, their experience, to help us with a part of our journey, is that then we can let go and allow divine will to help support us as it unfolds, and that we can trust in the process of Spirit and letting go of the fear so that we can be free in that creation. Right? And in many ways, we're being asked to nurture our connection to the Ascended Masters on our spiritual teams, to nurture that relationship. And then to surrender to the divine timing, the divine will. Yeah. Except, what's it feel like to switch them around a little bit? Where you have the Ascended Master looking in rather than looking out. Yeah, that feels better, doesn't it? It feels better. Yeah. So those of you who are technically adept, you can take a screen print here. Let me take my name off. You can do a screenshot. And you can sit with these cards. Right. There we go. There. Yeah. So making time, taking the time to have that conversation with the Ascended Masters on your spiritual team. That's going to be a part of mine. Angelica's saying, Barbara's saying, divine timing, exactly what I need to hear today. Thanks. You're welcome. You're very welcome. I got to thank the Spirit this morning when I was calling on my spiritual team, right, to be with me, to help me with and showing me the information that is important for us to know about this week for our spiritual growth, and that will help us with insight and understanding our spiritual journey, right? Our spiritual growth. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Oh my goodness. All right. So we just have a few minutes left. I want to say that whatever information that was shared today in our conversation, whatever felt good, resonated with you, is to embrace it. And then watch, sense, feel, see how the energy is unfolding around you this week and where this information can be helpful, right? Yeah. And if it didn't resonate with you, don't worry about it. There's always next week, or perhaps you were a messenger, right? That you may know someone who would be interested in seeing the recorded show and the message or the information that's being shared. And that is all you need to do, right? And then there is always next week and next week's card. You never know if it's going to resonate with you. Okay. All righty. Well, Kimberly is saying, God, I'm feeling a tingling in my head and a calmness. Thank you. You're welcome, Kimberly. You're so welcome. It for me, the key, it was a pivot point for me in the information, was in that word surrender, right? In that word surrender. Because we get information all the time coming through. It's when we surrender to that divine will, right? Yeah. All right. I want to share a couple things with you guys. Number one, I want to share this. I don't know if you guys heard about this. Several years ago, I did an interview with Aaron Carapella, and he is a map maker. And he began making maps about Indigenous people and the original location of Indigenous people all across the Americas. And I heard about Aaron, and I was just really interested in his work. And so I invited him if he'd like to be on my show, and we did an interview with him. And that was several years ago. And, we kind of keep track of each other. I make comments on some of his Facebook posts and that sort of thing. And then he contacted me a few weeks ago and said he was developing a new map and was wondering if I would be willing to be a part of it. And so he said that it was a map of inspiring Native American women. And he wanted to include me because I was one of his early supporters and of the work that we're doing here at Star Nations. And so, of course, I said yes. And so the map came out yesterday. And I didn't realize he was going to have it ready so soon. And so this is what he posted yesterday. And so I just wanted to share it with you. And I'm so grateful to him for the recognition, and also for Spirit to bring this to me and validate, the work that I've been doing. So, and how does this affect Star Nations community? It's a recognition of us as a whole, right? as a whole being. Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to share that with you. All right. Oops. Didn't want to do that. What I wanted to do is bring it down. There we go. And the other thing that is I'm just really excited about. Can't wait for you guys to be able to experience this with us. We have some classes coming up, and let's see. There we go. Online classes. We've been working on this for some time, and when we finally started pulling things together, I made the decision that I really, really wanted us to do this as a group. And so we bundled 4 classes for you. These are online classes. It's called A Launch into the Deep Waters of Manifesting. These 4 classes are meant to create a foundation, cornerstone, a good foundation to be able to take your manifesting even deeper. Okay. And so on February 10th, Marine Man kicks this off for us with angelic assistance to manifesting. And one of the things that major pieces that Marine is going to be working on is connection to the angels, yes, but how they can help us with our worthiness and removing outdated beliefs, removing blocks, healing, so that we have a healthy self-worth. Okay. And then on March 21st is Ed Langdon. And Ed is all about the law of attraction. He's our resident expert on the law of attraction. And his name of his class is True Creation and the Law of Attraction. One of the things that Ed really, really wants to help us with is how we can remove the frustration that many of us have experienced with the using of the law of attraction. And so creating that as part of your foundation as you move forward with manifesting, right? That's on March 21st. And on April 23rd is Polly Jo LeBay. She's going to be teaching multi-dimensional manifesting in your inner child. We really, really need to understand the connection of that aspect of ourselves, the inner child, and that part of us, how much of that energy is in our manifesting, and the understanding of being a multidimensional being, really. So that is a huge class in itself, and so I hope you can join us for that one on April 23rd. My class is Remembering How to Create on May 3rd, and that is all about the balance between our head and our heart, to be able to remember how to create in a unified field rather than a field of duality. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. So for more information about registering and that sort of stuff, you can go to Star Nation's, oops, got to spell right, to our website and click on the Academy page. Okay, the Academy button, and that'll give you all kinds of information about it. One last thing to show you. This is Maureen's promotion for her class. Don't you just love it? I love the colors. And so she is going already. She's set for us. In fact, she's got a brand new meditation that she's going to be sharing with us. Oh, and by the way, we do have a bonus for you guys, for those that'll be joining us. Brand new guided meditations from each one of us will be an MP3 download, and as a way of saying thank you for registering and being a part of the premiere of the online classes. So get ready. We're going to be doing some manifesting. All right. Here we go. So that was a lot of information, wasn't it? All right. I just want to get caught up with you guys in the chat. Kimberly is saying, I've passed the December issue on to a client of mine. She's looking for this community. Oh, thank you so much, Kimberly. How sweet is that? I hope she does. I hope she finds us and enjoys spending time with us. Yeah. Send her on over. Deborah is saying, congrats. Thank you so much, Deb. Really, thank you. Christina says, that's so awesome. I know. It was a pleasant surprise. Let's put it that way. Sandra is saying, thank you for the time in the session. You're welcome, Sandra. And it's so good to have you here, too. Yeah. And Jocelyn's saying, thank you. You're welcome, Jocelyn. All right. So hopefully you'll be able to join us this evening for Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay. Now remember, second half of her show is all about the card draw. So if you'd like to have a mini reading with Polly Jo, join us. Okay. All right. So enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you back here next week for Spiritual Roundtable, the weekly card draw, the group card draw, right here at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay. And Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.